Today on the workbench, I've got a new project here. This is an ES44AH. This is this is a Broadway limited locomotive. It's one of the new CSX heritage units, and I want to put this is a Soundtraxx Blunami decoder in this. And I'm not sure what speaker I'm going to put in it, or if I'm going to put a Keep Alive in it. I want to get into this thing and take it apart and see how much room I've got, and then I'll decide from there what I'm going to put in it. But you can see it's a pretty nice model, fairly hefty. This is the DC. Of course, it's a stealth version, so it is just DC. But yeah, I want to get this thing taken apart, and then we can go from there and see what we've got. So had that little piece under there just to prop that up to keep it off of the sunshade. So I believe, so this comes from the factory. It looks like it has two speakers already in it. So I think maybe I'll just put this decoder in, and we'll see how it sounds. So this should be a fairly simple process. I believe I'll have to take the couplers off, and then I can pull the body off. So, but before I do that, I may have to switch out my SD card here. I'm running out of memory. So let me do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, so we're back here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these couplers. That's usually the first step in any of these projects. Now the other thing with these, they usually have 4 tabs that hold the body on. This one looks like a little different. I'm going to remove a few more screws here. I've got 2 up front here, 2 screws up front here, and then I've got a couple here in the back. So let me see. Oh. Pull that out. And then we'll come up here to the front. Now, they've made this body removal a lot easier on these newer models, so that's great. No more of those little clips in there that are always so hard to get out. Huh. Alright. So really, well, we've got a lot of space right here, so I may end up, I'll look for a scale sound system speaker maybe to put in there, and then maybe we can hook that up in conjunction with our factory speakers. Let me move this off, this piece of tape or whatever you want to call that. So those are the speaker wires. right there. I'm going to have to pull this piece of tape off. Start looking through here and see what I see, or what I can see. So to put the decoder in, we'll just remove this plug, pop that off. Let me open this decoder up. Get some of that out of the way. So, well, okay. So here is the problem. Here is a problem. This decoder will work like this, but you see how that's sitting at an angle? It's perched up like that. If this board had longer pins on it, that would do a better job. So what I think I'll do, since I have plenty of room here, I'm just going to rewire this whole thing. I know this is a stealth version, it's supposed to be easy, but I don't like that. So what I'll end up doing is I'll get me a decoder buddy, and I'll put a decoder buddy in this. So let me drop back and punt here, and like I say, I do have room for a scale sound system speaker, so I think I'll do that. I'll probably utilize the, all of the wiring. We'll get that all figured out. But I think this will be a good candidate for a decoder buddy. All right, let's see what we've got here. We'll start unplugging some things, I think, and then, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here, but and we'll be able to put a Keep Alive in this too. There's plenty of room to put a Keep Alive in this. Let's see, let me get out my trusty little pliers here. This is just a pair of Xuron pliers, and they've got little teeth up here, little offsets. I think they're actually just like 90-degree nippers is what they are, to cut small or plastic with. But they make great things to unplug wiring. So, pull that out. That off. That out. That one. Oop. So I can unplug this, so I can move my shell. Sometimes these are hard to get into, especially from the side. These are made better for this. There we go. There's that. Now I'll unplug this one. That out of the way, and I've got one black wire there holding the whole thing. So let me pull this piece of tape off. Oh, that's a track pickup. Where's this one going? It's going to this plug. Okay. So let's pull that one out. Now we can move our body. Well, no, we can't. My land, what a jumbled up mess that is. Now I'll unplug this one. Yeah, that's where that goes. So there's still one wire connected, this one green wire. So now, I pull this screw out. I guess I could have just pulled the screw off of the board and taken the whole board off. It would have been simpler. But we decided to do it the hard way, and now we're going with it. So, and this thing is brand new out of the box, so I've never tried it. I haven't run it to see how well it works. But anyway, we've got everything disassembled. Speaker wires, motor wires, track pickups. So we've got all of our essentials basically right there. I'm trying to pull this little piece of tape off, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to pull these two screws out of this board. That'll give me that. So now basically we're ready there. We've got a nice chassis to work with. So I'll be back. Okay, now with some movie magic. I'm back. I do have a scale sound system speaker for this. This is for the BLI ES44. So we'll be able to mount the speaker right there. Let me move that up a little bit so you can see. That'll mount right there. This is the front of the locomotive. I've got, this is a NixTrainz decoder buddy. This is the newest version. It's the V1. And it has some new pads down here to allow for some lighting functions that are basically stuck to the to the frame of the locomotive, like these ditch lights. I'll be able to take this set of front ditch lights and hook it up to this, and we'll still be able to remove our body shell. So Nick has made a couple of changes to the board. Of course, it can be used with a ESU Loc Sound power pack. We've got our white wire pad right here. Of course, I'm using a Soundtraxx version, so we don't have to worry about that. But anyway, this thing will mount. We can mount it right up. So let's just go ahead and mount this board. And I'm just doing this to demonstrate it right here, right now, because I'll come back and I'll tin these pads. But that'll mount right there. I'm going to use a TCS KA1 Keep Alive, and I'll be able to mount it right here underneath this board. So I'll probably mount it right to the board, and then of course the speaker will set right there like that, and then our decoder on top of it. And these Nick uses the longer pins, so our decoder will actually set level, and it makes for a neater job. Now I don't have that all the way on there, but it does set level across there. But anyway, we're good to go. We've got our plan down. So now all we've got to do is, I'll pull that board off. I'll tin these pads. We'll get our track pickups hooked up. Get everything attached down. So yeah, we're good to go here. But anyway, we'll pull this back off. Pull the board back off. And yeah, I'll be back. Okay, so I took this decoder buddy and I went ahead and I tinned and fluxed the track pickups, the speaker pickups. I also fluxed the motor pickups. I forgot to mention that this comes with 1000 ohm. You can get it off the website with 1000 ohm or 2.2 kilo ohm resistors. This one is the 1000 ohm. So let's go ahead and we'll get into this thing and start mounting things. So I went ahead and I put these 2 screws back in here just so I wouldn't lose them. Sometimes when you're waiting around and I get 2 or 3 projects going, I end up with a lot of miscellaneous parts. So I try to keep them organized what I can. Oh, wait a minute. So I just put that on there, but I remembered I want to put my TCS KA1. That's going to fit quite nicely. Let's see, let me put this down here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I need to attach this to the decoder buddy. Actually, I don't want to put it all the way up there. So I'll leave about 1/8 of an inch sticking out from the board. So let me pull this back off. I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is going to mount right under here like this. I'll have a little left to spare. Let me move some of this stuff so you can see what I'm doing here. I need to get out my swab here. We'll clean this board off because I'll put double-sided tape on here. Let's see, how do I want to... Yeah, I'll put it with the decoder up front there. So we've got that. Clean that off. I might as well clean this, where I'm going to put my tape, and I'll clean the bottom of the speaker off. Now I can get out my double-sided tape. Stick that on there. And then, like I say, this sometimes is the hardest part of the job. It's pulling the backing off of the double-sided tape. So I've got about 1/8 of an inch sticking out the back there, so it'll mount nicely to the board. Now I think while I've got this out, I'm going to go ahead and wire this up to our two pads here. So I believe this is white. That's for the loc sound. But we've got our positive is the second one, and then the ground is next. So that's, yeah, that's the way we'll be wiring this up. Actually, I am going to mount it because it's going to be too hard for me to hold. Well, if I can get the screw on the screwdriver. So I will give BLI credit. They have there is a lot of room in this locomotive for these modifications. So alright, there's that. Grab my 2 wires. Those are speaker wires, and I'm going to get them out of the way. My track pickup. To put this speaker in, to mount it level, I'm going to cut these 2 little nipples off right here. That way that speaker will set in there level. And to do that, I use a set of small bolt cutters, because this stuff is hardened and it will ruin a pair of track cutters. And I don't need to take much off of that. So let's see if I got enough. Yeah. Yep, after I get my tape on there, that will work. That will be enough. So I probably took about 1/16 of an inch off of that. Not very much at all. And yeah, I'll just use one piece of tape. That way I can kind of use between the speaker and the frame as a wire chase. So there's our speaker mounted. That'll work really well. Now, after I get these trimmed up and the length I need, I'll take and run them through that hole right there. That'll keep those nice and neat. This is for the Keep Alive. So, some of this stuff out of the way. And I kind of do go back and forth between the liquid and this on the flux. No reason why, just because I have it at hand. And so another good reason to use this decoder buddy, on the BLI board they use a plug, this real small plug right here, for their current keeper or Keep Alive or power pack, whatever you want to call it. And I don't have that plug. I could probably find it, but I'm not going to. Not going to look for it. Just going to stick with what I know here, and I know I've got a good thing. And actually, I can't use that hole because it's broke right there. So, I guess to keep these wires together, I'm gonna put a piece of heat shrink on them, just as a little way to kind of keep them tidy there. But let me grab one of these individually. Trim that off just a touch. So there's my positive. And I'll probably have to pull that off because I just put it right in the way of the negative. So let's do that negative wire first. Okay. Now I'm going to have to look at that. I may have gotten that over into that. There. I believe that got it. Let me take a look at this. Okay, so I looked at it through the magnifier to see if I had it touching this pad beside of it. But the better way is I turned my meter on and we're good to go. And so that beep you heard was me coming over and just touching the pad. But we're good. Alright. So there's our Keep Alive hooked up. I guess I can utilize that hole a little bit. Alright, this is speakers. I'm going to hold off on that for a second. Go ahead with my track pickups. So I'll cut this plug off. Strip these. So now that we've got our basic components in, now we're just down to lather, rinse, and repeat here with the wiring. But we'll go through this. Get those tinned up. I think I got that one. Yep. And I'll be able to come up here and get the front ones. That off. Yep. If I can get my flux the way I need it. Put a slight bend in those. That way I can kind of come over the top here. So there's our front track pickups, and in the end we'll get all this stuff laying down. Get this one. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to flip this around. Now I've got my two motor wires here. I may have to, well no, I'll be alright. I thought I was going to have to extend those wires, but I won't have to. Let me see if I've got enough to run that up through and over to that first pad. And if I have to, I can change these leads around to make sure that it's going the right way. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to put the decoder on it and see if the direction's right, and then we'll go from there. So let me just set that on there now. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I hooked the speaker up off camera, and there's two in the bottom of this thing. There's two, move this around here, there are two 16 ohm speakers, and then we've got this one 8 ohm scale sound system speaker right here. So the way I did it, it's a series parallel connection, so it ends up giving us 8 ohms for all three speakers. Basically, this wire runs off of the positive side down to the negative side of the two speakers, and then this side runs to the decoder buddy here, and then we have another wire coming off of the, let's see, the positive side up to the other side of the decoder buddy. So I'll try and include, if I think of it when I'm putting this together, I'll put a picture of the series parallel connection together. But anyway, and if I don't, you can find it at SBS for DCC under their wiring stuff. So they have a really good source of information on speaker wiring. But it took me a while to figure out what I was doing and how I was doing it. But now we're to this mess of wires for the lighting. So we're going to start up front here. And this is where these tweezers are great. Because I can go in here, and I know this is the positive side of this and this is the negative. So I can stick this in this plug, and there's my front headlight. So we know that this brown is the positive, and this black is the function wire off of that. So we'll start hooking this up to our decoder buddy. I'm going to have to extend this black wire, and let me do this. So that's the positive side. So we'll get rid of that. Move it out of the way. And like I say, this will end up back here on this board. Actually, yeah, that's the way I'll do this, I think. I'm going to end up having to extend both of these wires no matter how I do it. So I'm going to go ahead and go through these. I'll find out what they are, and then I'll start the wiring process, and at some point I'll bring you back and show you. I will show you the final product of how everything is hooked up. So, but if I just start testing these and putting them together, it's going to make this a 2-hour, maybe a 2.5-hour video. But yeah, we'll go through, and like I say, that's the best thing about these pliers or tweezers, so I can test that. So I'm going to assume right now, and I haven't tested that this brown wire is the positive for all these other wires. And we'll just kind of go from there. So I'll be back here in a little bit. Okay, I made it back here, and this was an excellent locomotive for this new decoder buddy, because let's see, the headlights, the front and rear headlights, are fixed to the frame. So I used functions 5 and 6 back here to hook the front headlights up, or front and rear headlights up. So that worked out really well. And then, of course, with this from the factory, the ditch lights were solid. They wouldn't flash. So I separated the ditch lights. And don't think that's black tape in there. That's from the factory. That's that cloth tape. But anyway, so I separated all the functions. I've got individual ditch lights now, headlights, there's a cab light, and number boards. So all I've got to do now is just basically plug the decoder buddy back in and do a little bit of wire management here, and put it up on the track, and it'll be ready to go. So yeah, I just let's see if we can see this little board here. So I've used A1, A2, A3, and A4 on this board. Just basically 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we've got our positive on both ends. So we'll just have to do a little bit of function mapping with our headlights, since I did end up putting it on FX28. And I'll move that. But other than that, this is finished. And I'll get these wires straightened up, that plugged in, and then you'll see it up on the test track. Alright, we've got this project up on the board here, or up on the turntable. And this is the BLI, Broadway Limited ES44AH. Of course, it's in the Baltimore and Ohio Heritage unit from CSX, their first one they put out. This is a stealth unit, and as you saw in the video, I completely gutted this thing. I took the original factory board out. I put in a new NixTrainz V1B board, and I explain it in the video there. I've got a scale sound system speaker in this, plus the 2 original speakers from the factory that are in the fuel tank. It has a TCS KA1 Keep Alive in it, and of course I used a Blunami Soundtraxx decoder with the GE sound package in it. So let's go ahead and, well, before I start it up, I'll go through the lighting functions, because I did incorporate all the lighting functions that the stealth unit has. So let's see, we've got our cab light there. You can see it flickering in the background. We've got our ditch lights. From the factory, these were hooked up together so they would not flash. Of course, I separated them, and now they flash. And then we've got our headlight, and of course we've got the number boards. So this board, this NixTrainz board, has 1,000 ohm resistors on it, so it does work well with these bulbs. And the only light in the rear is the rear headlight. So let's go ahead and we'll start this thing up. I do have the volume turned down on this. I think these boards come from the factory set at 192. I've got this set down to 100. So we'll go through. There's our horn. Got our bell, short horn. And of course all the normal functions that come through with the Blunami decoders. Let's see if we can ramp this up a little bit. Now take it back down. And normally I go one too many. So let's start this thing up. That's speed step 1 of 128. So it does have pretty good low end speed. So this project turned out really well. I'm really going to enjoy this one. All right. Thanks for watching.